We're in the middle of a massive technological race, a high-stakes competition between the United States and China for dominance in artificial intelligence. And there's this growing fear, you've probably heard it, that in our rush to make AI safe, we might actually be about to hand the win to our biggest rival.
So that's the big question, right? Is this whole push for AI safety just the US shooting itself in the foot? A self-inflicted wound that's going to cost us our lead? Well, let's dig into that and see what the facts really tell us.
Okay, so before we can even decide if safety rules are a threat, we've got to get the lay of the land. You have to understand how this whole race is structured, because it's not just one big thing. It's really happening on 3 different levels.
Think of it as a stack. At the bottom, you've got compute. That's the raw muscle, right? The chips, the servers, all the hardware. On top of that, you build the models. These are the brains of the operation, like a GPT-4. And then at the very top, where the rubber meets the road, you have the applications. That's what you actually do with the AI in the real world. So, how are we doing right now? Well, if you look at that foundational layer, compute, it's not even close. The US has a massive advantage. Thanks to companies like nvidia and huge investments, we're talking about 10 times the raw AI computing power that China has. It's a huge lead.
So what does a 10x lead in hardware actually get you? Well, in the world of AI, where things move at light speed, it buys you a 1 to 2 year head start. That's basically an entire generation ahead when it comes to building the smartest, most powerful models.
Now, China isn't blind to this. They know they're behind. So they've got this really pragmatic strategy called fast follow. They're basically saying, okay, we'll accept being a year or 2 behind on the big AI brains. In the meantime, we'll do whatever it takes, smuggle chips, steal tech, you name it, to keep that gap from getting any bigger. But here's their real endgame. They plan to crush it on that third layer, applications, using their manufacturing might to win in the real world.
All right, so now that we have the scoreboard, let's talk about the supposed bad guy in this whole drama. AI safety regulation. Is this really the thing that's going to throw away our lead?
First things first, we need to be super clear on our terms. When we say AI safety here, we're talking about the big, long-term stuff, preventing a hostile superintelligence from, causing a catastrophe. This is totally separate from AI ethics, which deals with things like algorithmic bias or intellectual property.
So when you actually look at what these safety bills are asking for, it's not that crazy. It's mostly common sense stuff. They want the big labs, your OpenAIs, your Googles, to be transparent about their safety policies, to protect whistleblowers, and, really importantly, to actually test their models for the most dangerous capabilities, like could it design a bioweapon? And if they find something scary, they have to tell the government. Okay, so what's the price tag for all this caution? What's the cost of doing all that testing and reporting? Well, people on the inside have run the numbers. When you add it all up, it comes out to about 1%. 1% of the total budget for training a major new AI model. That's it. So let's put that 1% cost into perspective. Remember that giant 10x compute advantage we have? What happens when you apply this 1% safety tax? Well, our 10x lead becomes a 9.8x lead. I mean, you can barely even see the difference. The bottom line is, these safety rules, they are barely moving the needle.
Okay, so if AI safety isn't the boogeyman everyone's making it out to be, then what is? What should we actually be worried about? Well, this is where the plot thickens.
So, threat number 1. It's not the safety rules, but certain kinds of ethics rules. The kind that could wrap small businesses up in so much red tape, creating what one person called a miasma of fear and bureaucracy. That could slow down innovation right at the application layer, which, remember, is exactly where China is planning to make its big move. But honestly, that's not even the biggest danger.
The real battle, the one that could change everything, is all about the chips, specifically U.S. export controls. See, right now, the policy is simple. We do not sell our most advanced AI chips to China, period. But there is a huge lobbying push to change that, to let U.S. companies sell these chips directly to China. And what happens here is everything.
How high are the stakes?
Okay, let's play this out. Imagine a perfect world where we could totally shut down all chip smuggling. If we did that, by 2026, the US would be adding new AI compute power 31 times faster than China. That's not just a lead, that is game over levels of dominance.
But that's not the world we live in.
The reality is China is smuggling a lot of chips, and because of that, our potential 31x advantage gets knocked all the way down to 10x. Now, 10x is still a strong lead, but you can see how much damage smuggling is already doing.
Okay, but now for the nightmare scenario. What happens if those lobbyists get their way? What if the US government just starts selling our best chips to China? Look at this. The lead collapses. It goes from 10x down to just 2x. Our massive commanding lead would basically evaporate, almost overnight.
People are trying to come up with analogies to explain just how catastrophic this would be. One person put it this way: it would be like selling Russia our nuclear weapons during the Cold War. I mean, think about that. You're not just helping your rival, you're actively giving away the very thing that makes you strong.
And you always hear the business argument, right? Oh, but letting China access our tech will open up new markets for us. Well, one of the sources we looked at had a pretty memorable take on that idea. They said that thinking is the "maybe the stripper really likes you" of international trade. It's a naive fantasy we seem to fall for over and over again.
So this brings us full circle. We started out worried that AI safety might be the villain, the thing that costs us the race. But what if we've got it backwards? What if focusing on safety could actually help us win?
It sounds strange, but check this out. Good safety rules demand better cybersecurity, which makes it harder for spies to steal our tech. They push for things like tracking chips from the factory to the data center, which would be a massive blow to smugglers. It could even empower the people inside China who are also worried about safety. And, maybe most importantly, it helps prevent a major AI accident that could cause our own government to freak out and shut the whole industry down.
When you really think about it, it makes perfect sense. The people who are most concerned about AI safety are the ones who truly understand just how powerful this technology is going to be. And when you get that, you develop a really strong gut-level feeling that you absolutely cannot let it fall into the hands of dictators.
So let's put it all together. The fear is that a 1% safety cost is going to lose us the race. But the real, game-changing threat is a potential 1,000% boost to China's power if we sell them our chips. So it all comes down to this. If our actual goal is to win this thing, maybe we've been arguing about the wrong thing this entire time.